Are would be a good name for a book, but it wouldn't last much. Timothy Ferriss joins us now. Very good morning to you.
Morning.
Well, you wouldn't make money out of self-help books if we just said on the cover, you don't need to change anything, do you?
I suppose there wouldn't be much promise in that.
You sort of made a name for yourself with the 4-hour work week, and you've applied that principle now to other things. Basically, your ethos is that we can kind of cut down on everything we're doing, but still be supremely successful. Can we?
If you do the proper analysis, I think you can. My other career is working with startups, so I'm an early investor in Twitter and Facebook, Uber, and stumble upon a lot of these. And if you look at the right numbers and do the analysis properly, I do think you can find the 20% of activities that produce 80% or more of the results, whether that's in weight loss or finance or in skill acquisition. I do think you can do it.
Your latest work is, well, one thing, it'll teach you how to be weightless because it is a hugely big book.
It's a big book.
But it says it's the simple parts of cooking like a pro and learning anything. You can learn anything from reading, but can you really learn to do it well? You can't be an expert at everything, surely.
You can't be an expert at everything at the same time, definitely. Nor can you have everything at the same time. So I think there's a lot of garbage in self-help, quite frankly. I mean, I don't read much of it myself. I would tend to read more, let's say, Ben Franklin or even Charlie Munger, who's the right-hand man of Warren Buffett. But you can learn things quickly if you look at the neuroscience, if you look at the anomalies. So, for instance, Daniel Tammet in the UK learned Icelandic well enough in 7 days to be...
But for instance, can I give you an example?
Sure.
Hang on, sorry. Somebody learned Icelandic in 7 days?
Well enough to be interviewed on TV like this.
In Icelandic?
Yeah, so I study those people.
Okay, and then you learn things from them. Okay.
But for instance, in your book, one of the things is how to do the freestyle, the Australian crawl. And I'm interested in that because I try to swim, but I can't get the breathing.
Yeah.
So the pictures show me very clearly what to do, but they don't show me. Obviously, they can't because of the whole deal about swimming the crawl. So, in essence, I'm left short there, aren't I?
Well, there are limitations to the medium of print, certainly. Which is part of the reason why I've done a lot in enhanced books and also offered. I did a partnership with BitTorrent to offer video of things like the freestyle, which is all free. I couldn't swim until 3 years ago. I grew up on Long Island in New York at all. And the method, at least that's outlined in, let's say, the 4-Hour Chef, gives you enough so that you can then, if you want to dig deeper with that, you can certainly go on Google and you could find video of, let's say, Terry Loughlin. Total Immersion, I recommend. It's a great method.
So really, yours is it just starts you off.
It teaches you. There are certain things, like in this book, the cooking or language acquisition, that I do get into in great depth. With the swimming, I'm giving people enough that if they want to choose that as their adventure in the Choose Your Own Adventure book, like you said, it's a big book, then they can go after it. But the principles are what I like to teach.
So your claim is that you can master anything and be an expert in anything after 6 months if you followed these certain principles. And you've used cooking as an example because you were basically a microwave cook, weren't you?
Yeah, I was an anti-cook. I didn't cook at all.
And what did you do then to make yourself somebody who could then deliver a dinner party for a huge number of guests, you know, the standard of cooking that you might expect in a hotel?
The first thing that you have to do is deconstruct these complex skills like swimming or cooking. For instance, when you want to learn how to cook, most people fail because it's actually 4 or 5 new behaviors in one. You have to learn to shop, you have to learn to prepare, you have to learn to cook, and you have to learn to clean up and to host. So rather than do that, I sequenced the recipes and the skills so that you're starting off with meals that have 0 cleanup and take 5 minutes, and then you lead up to where you're doing all those things, and then you have your final test, which is dinner party for 4 to 6 people.
So basically, when people buy cookbooks hoping that they're going to be able to make all these recipes, you're saying don't start with that. Start with, you know, that's the mistake. You're ploughing in way too above your level.
You need the minimal effective dose, and I'm actually funding research at University of California at San Francisco in neuroimaging, looking at cognitive modification. You have to start with really small things. It's the same mistake that people make when they're trying to lose weight. For the new year, and they say, all right, I'm going to go to the 2 hours a day, I'm going to change all of my meals, I'm going to change everything, and of course you're going to fail. It doesn't work. You have to start with something really small, like changing breakfast. I actually just got an email from a gentleman yesterday who's lost 195 pounds, and he started with changing one thing, which is 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up. That's it. Didn't exercise for the first 2 months of the program.
Gosh. It seems Americans go in for self-help books much more than the rest of us. Why is that?
I think that there's definitely more of a history of self-help in the U.S. And the suppose it would come to being a very individualistic society, number one. Having many of our icons or founding fathers also perhaps even describe themselves as constantly focused on self-improvement, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson. So I think there's perhaps a tradition of that. And I think it's also in the UK, but it would go by other names.
So, just to finish the interview, if some of us may be struggling a little with our New Year's resolutions, your principle is go right back to the beginning and just change one thing.
One thing very small, and if I could add an additional tip, it would be you need stakes, you need incentives. So if you fail your diet, you don't get fired. If you fail your job, you do get fired. There's a consequence, so you actually do your job. So you could use a site, this is free, like stickk.com or dietbet.com to actually put a wager on the fact that you will or will not follow this behavior you say you're going to follow. And miracles happen when you actually have a carrot or a stick to make you do what you want to do.
Great if you're trying to lose weight, not great if you're trying to give up gambling.
Yes, good point.
Lovely to see you and to meet you.
Timothy Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Chef, is out now.
And it isn't just about cooking.
No,
it's about
so
how
many
you
other
can
things.
learn to do lots of things.
Yes.
Now, they were one of the